Hello everyone, this is Julian Padel Master Coach, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about the composition of the paddles. I have many messages after I did my review and description of paddle rackets to go much more into details about the actual composition of the paddles and what is the difference between carbon fiber and fiberglass. And I'm just going to go a little bit in detail. It's going to be a little bit technical, but at least you have a much more understanding next time you want to purchase a paddle and just look at the different details and specification of the paddle before you purchase it. So basically in paddles composition, you have two different options, carbon fiber and fiberglass. As you know in my previous video, fiberglass. What is fiberglass? Fiberglass, it's basically, there are fibers intertwined, made of fiberglass that generate more power and comfort when you're playing with the paddle, and it's a great feeling that you get. But here are the cons of that over time the fibers, they start breaking apart, and eventually the feel of the racket will start changing. Those are the basics, and usually the fiberglass paddles are the ones at the lower end. They're not the high performance paddles. So for you to take in consideration before you purchase, look at this fiberglass of carbon, which there is a big difference. For you to give an example, this Royal paddle, the Whip, it's a mixture, they call it hybrid, and it's a mixture in between fiberglass and carbon. Which is a little bit more upgraded than actually fiberglass. So I want you to make sure that you understand that option too. Now let's go a little bit more into depth about carbon. Carbon, it becomes very interesting, and the carbon it's as much more resistant and lighter than fiberglass, which is a great option when purchasing a paddle, because the paddle will last longer. It will not lose the feeling that you had it when you first played with it or when you first purchased it. The structure of the paddle will stay the same through the entire life of the paddle. So within that, carbon, you know what it is. It's more resistant and it's lighter than fiberglass. Perfect. So now we talk about a little bit about the new generation of carbon. Carbon now, it becomes intertwined. So it's sort of like, if you see some of the paddles, like this one, I don't know if you can see it, but it looks like it's braided. You see the options, it's braided. And if you can see right here, it says 6K, which is in carbon you have different options. You have 3K, 6K, 12K, 18K. What does it mean? I mean, some of the paddles like this one is 6K. The Aerostar Pro Dunlop, this is my favorite paddle. The one that I use is 12K. So the K means how many filaments you have in the actual structure of the weaving. You know what I mean? So 18K carbon means that you have 18 filaments. 12K carbon means you have 12 filaments. So the more filaments, the more rigid. So the higher the number, the more rigid will be the paddle, meaning it will give less every time you hit it. The lower, the more flexible. So that's a very important thing before you purchase a paddle. Make sure, my recommendation is to go for carbon. Make sure to see what type of carbon it has and what level it has. Like I said before, most of the paddles either they are 3K, 6K, 12K, or 18K. If you go above that, it's going to become very rigid, that paddle. So that's pretty much the definition of carbon structure of the paddle. Then you have to go on the inside part. And like I said before in my previous video, you have foam, which most of the fiberglass paddles are made of foam, which is very flexible, and those paddles are very light and give you a lot of flexibility. But at the end of the day, the foam starts breaking apart and the fibers start losing flexibility. The fiberglass start losing flexibility. Now with the carbon, you keep the structure of the paddle much more solid, right? And most, not all of them, most of the paddles made of carbon, where the surface is carbon, the foam is made of EVA. And you have soft EVA and hard EVA. Professional players, they play, most of them, they play with a harder EVA, meaning they get much more control every time. You know, if you think about it, every time you hit that ball, the carbon gives way, but also the structure of the foam plays a big role in that, because the softer it is, you get more give and take and more flexibility in those shots. Where the harder the foam it is, and the higher the filaments, or the higher when you play with a 12K or a 18K, that's going to give you much more control. So it's just take in consideration that next time you purchase a racket. Very important, fiberglass, you know, it's a little bit lower quality, great feel, lighter, but it loses flexibility over time. Carbon, you have the 3K, 6K, 12K, 8K. Now you have the option to be braided. And remember that the K means how many filaments is in each weaving, you know, pattern that you have. The more filaments, the more rigid it is. So the higher the number, the more rigid it is. So my suggestion, that's much more about the technical aspect of the paddle. My always suggestion to you guys, don't go crazy about reading about descriptions and composition and all that. Get out there, get onto the court, start hitting some balls, get the feeling of the paddle, see how it lags, see how it plays with your specific type of game. And you know, the shapes, you know, you have different shapes, different weights and all that. But most important thing, at least this is helpful to you next time you purchase a paddle. And I hope you subscribe to our channel. Please share and like. And thank you so much for watching this. And I'll see you soon.